The world is full of strange things. We document them. This is Absurdist Archives. Let's begin. From the Opium Wars to fentanyl overdoses, drugs have shaped global politics for over 2 centuries. Empires, insurgents, intelligence agencies, and governments have all used narcotics as tools of power and profit. This is not just a history of addiction. It's a history of war, diplomacy, and covert strategy. Let's begin with the earliest state-enabled drug war. Britain's opium campaign against China. In the 1800s, British merchants smuggled Indian opium into China to fix a trade imbalance. When China resisted, Britain launched the Opium Wars, fighting not to end addiction, but to protect its profits. By 1842, the Treaty of Nanking opened Chinese ports and ceded Hong Kong to Britain. This marked the start of China's century of humiliation, triggered by a narcotic empire. Other colonial powers joined the drug trade, like Japan's puppet regime in Manchukuo, which ran a state opium monopoly. Even in World War II, drugs were tools of war. Nazi troops were issued methamphetamine for endurance in battle. Fast forward to the Cold War, when drugs financed anti-communist proxy wars across Asia and Latin America. In Southeast Asia's Golden Triangle, anti-communist militias, some backed by the CIA, turned opium into heroin. By the 1970s, heroin was flowing from Laos to Vietnam to American streets, with tacit U.S. tolerance. In Central America, U.S.-backed Contras funded their rebellion through cocaine smuggling. The CIA, focused on defeating the Sandinistas, ignored narcotics trafficking by its allies. In South America, Bolivia's 1980 cocaine coup saw the military seize power with drug money. Drug trafficking was not just tolerated, it became the operating system of these regimes. As Cold War covert operations faded, the rise of narco-states took center stage. In 1980s Colombia, Pablo Escobar's cocaine empire corrupted the judiciary, bought elections, and bombed cities. When the Medellin cartel fell, rebel groups like FARC took over cocaine production to fund their insurgency. In Bolivia, coca eradication led to social unrest, eventually electing Evo Morales, a coca union leader, as president. In Mexico, cartels struck deals with politicians, creating a fragile balance of corruption and control. When Mexico launched its war on cartels in 2006, violence exploded, over 300,000 killed since. Asia followed its own narco conflicts, from Myanmar's heroin militias to Hezbollah's Captagon empire. In Afghanistan, decades of war turned opium into the Taliban's main source of revenue. Wherever the state is weak, drugs fill the vacuum and pay for more conflict. Meanwhile, synthetic drugs changed the game. Unlike plant-based drugs, fentanyl and meth can be produced anywhere, with chemicals from global suppliers. This makes every nation both a potential source and a victim. China, the world's largest producer of precursor chemicals, became central to the fentanyl crisis. Despite banning fentanyl, Chinese firms continued exporting ingredients, some with official subsidies. Western officials now accuse China of chemical warfare by proxy, though Beijing denies any intent. In Syria, Captagon, a synthetic amphetamine, became the Assad regime's economic lifeline under sanctions. With Russian backing, Syria's 4th Division turned Captagon into a $10 billion export industry. Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Europe became flood zones for the drug, prompting seizures, bans, and diplomatic pressure. In both the Captagon and fentanyl cases, states tolerate or exploit drug economies for leverage. At the international level, the UN drug control treaties aim to stop narcotics trafficking, but enforcement has struggled, and illicit markets now earn over $300 billion a year. Cannabis legalization, synthetic drug surges, and harm reduction policies are exposing cracks in the old prohibition model. Patterns emerge. States deny complicity, tolerate traffickers, or outright weaponize drugs. The balloon effect persists. Squeeze drug supply in one place and it pops up somewhere else. Militarized crackdowns offer short-term wins, but often fuel long-term instability and human rights abuses. Global enforcement also depends on economic incentives, trade deals, and diplomacy. The US decertifies countries for non-cooperation. Gulf states bargain with Syria over Captagon control. To counter these threats, international cooperation must evolve. Drug policy must now span health, security, economics, and technology. Recommendations include reducing demand, targeting kingpins, not addicts, and regulating precursor chemicals. Enhance border technology, track drug money, and invest in rural alternatives for illicit farmers. Most importantly, treat addiction as a public health issue, not just a crime. Flexibility in international law is needed so nations can experiment with policies that actually work. The future of drug geopolitics will be shaped not just by smugglers and soldiers, but by smart policy choices. We've seen how drugs destabilize, empower, and corrupt. Now it's time to break the cycle, with strategy, science, and sustained cooperation. The story of drugs and power is not over, but a new chapter can begin. To support the channel, purchase something through the affiliate link in the video's description. Comment your thoughts and share this video with someone who could benefit from seeing it, or subscribe for new content every Tuesday.